Back, I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So we're doing something a little different today, but don't get too excited because it's not going to be like this forever. In fact, I would be surprised if it was like this again next week. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Neat.
This is a comic book show where we take the books in the past week, recap and review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comic books that are coming out this week that we think that you should pick up. Of course, we also review comic book related media when that should arise. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Paper Girls adaptation on Prime. We're also going to talk about some comic books, and we're going to talk about a trade paperback that just came out that Tiffany's got a bone to pick with. Should we open with that, or should actually before we do, we should also address some house cleaning. I like to do a little bit of like
You
house
do
cleaning
like
ahead of
that.
time. You know, like there's just some channel kind of inventory. Like,
Okay,
what are
go
we up
ahead.
to? What are we doing?
Yeah, do it.
Well, first of all, before we get started, of course, if you gave us a little like, that'd be fine. That would help us out a little bit. So click that like button and subscribe to this channel. Listen, if you want to see more shows like Off the Rack, Elseworlds Exchange, The Good, the Man, the Ugly, it would be great if we could hit 25,000 subs by the end of the year, by 2023. If
That'd
we
be
could do that, that'd
cool.
be cool.
That'd
I
be
don't
cool.
expect that, but if we got to like 20, that'd be fine. 20,000? That's like, it's not much. That's like 2.5. That's like 2.5 thousand subs
It's not bad.
between
It's
now
it's very doable.
and January. I think that's doable. Like, I'm setting realistic goals, but
We just
you
have
know,
to get more engaging.
right. I don't think so. I don't think I can
No,
be more
okay.
engaging. I think that's it. This is as engaging as it gets.
This is
Um,
it. This is us.
If you like video games, you should watch Tiffany play them on twitch.tv/ComicPop. All links for everything we do, everything we've got, everything we are is in the description of every single video. I know that people don't really click those anymore, which is why we pin comments typically when it comes to making recommendations or having a book available on our sister show Back Issues over on youtube.com/ComicPop. Every time we have a new episode of Back Issues, we try to make the book available as a pinned comment below the video. So
Yeah.
check it out there. I should also mention that we are curating, we're working on, we're reevaluating, redeveloping the Patreon.
Yes.
So have a look over at patreon.com/comicpop and see it before it changes, because things are changing.
Yes. I'm excited.
Big
We're,
doings.
we're working on it.
We are working on it. So if you're a patron and you're probably like, what? I did a whole thing and then we had to change it. So, you know, your
It
update
was
will be
really
coming.
good too. I heard it. It was
Thank
it
you.
was good. I liked
Well, I'm
it.
excited to redo it. So don't forget, of course, if you want to sponsor today's show, keep everybody else out of the proceedings. Make sure that you make the show you want to see. Use super chats, ask a question or comment here on the show. Or if you catch it after the fact, you can always give it a super thanks or something.
Yeah.
If you click below the video,
It's like a heart thingy.
it's like a heart with a dollar sign in it. That's like giving a super chat, but without all the hullabaloo of doing it live. So yeah, you want to talk about the trade paperback in the room?
Should I?
Why
So this
not?
came out. It's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Yeah, by Tom King and Bilquis Evely. I no matter what I'm about to say about this trade, I still say pick it up. It's only $20. It's actually only $20, which is like kind of amazing.
Yeah, not only should you pick it up because it's inexpensive and because the book is great, but also because DC has absolutely no faith in this series. So if you don't pick it up, you may never see this trade ever again.
It's very true. I mean, like it's 8 issues for $20. That's quite the bargain, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like. Okay.
Yeah.
You're just gonna be here now?
That's right.
Cat reveal.
Hooray.
But yeah, no, this came out and like I fully supported picking this up and did, because it's like you gotta show your support with your dollars. You gotta do
That's
that
right.
sometimes, right? Which is like, oh, I hate that. I really do in a way. I don't know. But like that's how businesses work, right? So like here it is, right? Here's the problem with this trade. When you're going through it, there are like random pages and panels that are blurry. And I went ahead because I actually had a bunch of the floppies at home. Usually we had them at the studio, but I had a bunch of them at home. And so I compared and contrasted them. There's usually a little bit of a printing difference because of like the stock of paper that they print things on, or
the size,
the binding, the way in which it's printed. So like usually you see that sometimes in the colors, right? And like, there is a bit of a coloration difference in this. This one, the trade is actually a little more vibrant. I don't know how I feel about it, but like it's a little more vibrant. But the paper stock that they chose for this is it's kind of like a matte. It's like that newsprinty, not quite newsprint. There's still like, it's not totally matte, right?
Yeah,
I know
I know that printing. That's very much like the new DC, like
yeah,
NU DC way of printing trades.
It doesn't necessarily do much for the art. Art always looks better on like a glossy
course.
finish, but like, what are you gonna do, right? That I can't really begrudge them, but the blurriness, yeah. So I checked it against it to see like, oh, did I just miss that? And it was in the original printing. It was the art, like something like that. No, I went panel by panel for like the second issue. And there are just times where it's just weird and wrong. Now
Cool.
there could be a couple of reasons for that. One, it could be they screwed something up. Right.
Yeah.
It could just be they messed
Like
something
a first
up.
printing issue could be that the next round of books will look a little better.
Right. It could be that. It could be something in the art itself that the way that
maybe they got like a weird copy of the
or that the way
original.
that this was printed and the paper it was printed on hid those issues, but like some of those issues are really weird and they're often at the bottom of the page.
So that sounds like a printing
It's
issue.
often at the bottom of the page where I'm just like, oh, it's fuzzy. Now, I don't know if you're really going to notice, and I don't know if it's really going to be that distracting from the story for you, but it was something for me who like really loves like Bilquis's art and Mateus's colors that like I was like, ooh, something's funky here.
Yeah.
But it's still worth a pick
And you
up.
suspected some fuckery.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is this didn't get a hardcover. It's a Tom
When like
King.
everything does. It's a
Yeah.
Tom King release. It was yeah.
Yes, it's a Tom King release. It is usually Tom's series are 12 issues. This they were like you're only getting 8. Like,
and we
it's
know,
Supergirl.
according to the horse's mouth, like the reason is because Supergirl don't sell.
Yeah.
We assume that by 8 issues, people will just stop reading it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, like our local comic book store, we checked in with them just to see. I was actually there picking up my pull list, and I was looking for this to see if it was on the shelves. And I asked them about it, and they were like, "Oh," and I think they only ordered like 1. So I don't even know if a lot of comic book stores had faith in this book. Unfortunately,
oh no, yeah, that's right.
This is a beautiful book, though, guys. I got to tell you, the story is utterly incredible. So art issues aside, it's one of those things where I'm like, I question if it's an issue with Supergirl or if it's something to be wary of for the future of DC prints and like their trades. Like, so it's like, I would love to actually grab another one at some point in the future. I'm sure there's something that we want to grab that's going to be coming out and kind of compare it to see if there's anything similar. If this is a one-off thing, like, oops, something went wrong at the printer. Again, because it's weirdly often at the bottom of the page, but not always. It could have just been something in the run, but where's your quality control?
Well, I think they fired it because DC certainly fired everybody else who worked for the
printer's supposed to have quality control. There's supposed to be people on press to check pages as they come off to find out if something's wrong. So I don't know.
How would they know?
I guess that's true. Well, they've got they have the masters, so you have like something to compare it against.
Right.
So it's like they do a print.
They don't care if they're like if they have directions that say like it doesn't matter.
No,
that's the other reason why I'm like you should probably get it because like. This is probably it, folks.
Yeah, and again, it's not a huge price tag for this at all.
No.
You know, when you look at some trades and you look at how much they cost, you're like, oh my gosh, like that's so freaking expensive, right?
No, this is like an image trade.
Yeah, this is really, really like cost effective. And it's like a one and done story. So you don't have to worry about like getting involved in a long running series. Like it's all here. 8 issues. It's all right in this book. And I wish I could say that they were like telling us to promote this or they were like asking us to promote this, but this is all legitimately from the bottom of my heart. I love this book. It has become one of my favorite books of all time. And I've read it more than once. And the second read was as powerful and as good as the first read, 100%.
So if you're curious about the series, I would wait until Wednesday and go over to youtube.com/ComicPop and check out what's coming.
I would still grab it.
Surprised.
I would just buy it ahead of time before Wednesday. Just go out and grab it.
Absolutely.
I think it's totally worth it. I just wish that DC cared a little bit more for this book, or if it's the other issue where they cared a little bit more for their trades.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something beautiful about book printing. I know sometimes like it's nice when they make the fast, cheap versions of things so that everyone can get a comic, right? But I like both ends of the spectrum where like you have beautiful like bound tomes that you can put on display or something that you can treasure forever. And this is one of those stories that it's like for me, it's like kind of a quintessential Supergirl story. And it's something that is easily accessible by anyone who doesn't maybe know anything about this character.
Yeah.
So it's like something I'd love to be able to display. That said, this trade, you know, if I can get another one of it, like it's so like whatever that like it's easily lendable.
Oh yeah. That's true.
So actually I have to lend this to Ethan because he wanted to
Oh,
check
did he
it out
really? That's great.
after our like talking about it. Because of the
Yay.
description of Supergirl True Grit.
Oh yeah.
So at some point we got
It's
to
a
send
hell of
this
a
over to
pitch.
Ethan. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, if you haven't already, we put a link in the comments of this episode, the live comments. If you want to check it out, it's also on sale on Amazon for like $4 or $3 cheaper than you can get at your local comic book store. But don't worry, your local comic book store probably didn't order it anyway.
But you could, I would check with them. Like if you like, listen, like if you just want to get it right now, or like, listen, like supporting your LCS is a good reason to do it. If you have the extra money to do so,
it's a $3. It's like a $2 to $3 tax to support a local business and to help comic books. So
but
why not?
If if when you go in to pick up your pull list on Wednesday, ask them about that, right? Or if you don't have a pull list to pick up, call them first.
Yeah, don't
make the trip just to find out that they don't have it. Call them first, see if they have it, and have them put it on hold for you. Yeah. So
you just went and were like, where is it? And they were like, we only ordered one.
I was picking up my pull list, so it was fine. Like I was there for a reason. I'm just warning you. But I gotta tell you that this book I think is reasonable, like enough, because there's just something about it. And like I don't listen, you've heard us talk about Tom King books before, right? And I know like a lot of people are like, oh, it's like they're sad in this. This book has some darkness to it, right? For sure. But like it's darkness enveloped in hope. Because you're dealing with a super. So listen, Tom King's coming out, like he says it in that interview you did with him, that he's like coming out on the other side of something, right?
That's right. Yeah, he's leaving his like blue period and entering
into I also read a couple of interviews with him where like when he wrote Mr. Miracle and when he wrote Strange Adventures, like he was in a different place, even Vision. When he wrote Supergirl, he was in a very different place. So if you're like tired of like the downer side of it, read this. You're still going to get some darkness, but it's a very different tone. Give it a try. Like I said, like, even if you don't know anything about Supergirl, trust me, the story alone, worth it.
I think so. Jumping into some super chats really quick. Ray Farr helps us out by saying, I was house sitting all last week and I pretty much just watched Comic Pop the whole time. I love you guys and love the work that goes into this channel. Thank you, Ray. I'm glad we can hang out with you. And man, house sitting is a noble tradition. I like doing house sitting. I loved doing it when I was a kid. So hopefully you were having a good time.
I like doing it now. Are you kidding me?
It's pretty great.
To be nosy.
Brian Rowlands really enjoyed Superman Space Age, even with Tiff's boy Pariah, and it was good to see Ewing's Ant-Man have Hank Pym without a wife-beating reference yet. That's right. That's all. That's what it's all about. I think we're going to see some changes there. We'll get into it. But Ray Farr returns. Because of you guys, I finally physically bought Craven's Last Hunt, Spider-Man Blue, and Death of Jean DeWolf. I luckily got them as a bundle on eBay. Hey, that's really an awesome bundle.
I love that now he's my boy Pariah. Like, I love that we did War of the Gods, where I got to just, like, completely bitch about Pariah for the entire time. Oh, good.
Yeah, there's your little guy.
Never without him. But, like, I got to complain about him for, like, a full hour, right? Yep. And now he's, like, a major player in an event. And I'm like,
I know.
Cool.
And I'm not going to say that it's our fault, your fault specifically.
It's not our fault.
That someone brought up to Josh Williamson, while he was developing the Dark Crisis, that Pariah was a key player in War of the Gods.
I think it's a synchronicity.
I don't think so.
But because why would you willingly use Pariah?
Well, he's the main character of Dark Crisis.
I know
Max M. Amazing Spider-Man 900 was wholly underwhelming, but that backup makes me think that Peter Parker as a librarian would be a pretty good fit. Yeah, I agree with that. That'd be kind of fun. I'll take that. A job. Why not? Matthew Chalaga, Amazing Spider-Man 900. The first time we see Flash interact with Peter since his death at the hands of the Goblin, and it goes over like a wet fart. Yay, Spider-Man. Yeah, that's the fun of reading Spider-Man on a regular basis. It's just being like routinely disappointed. I have a theory about that, and I think the theory is that Marvel is like, oh, that's really working out. How can we fuck that up? Like, I don't know if it's Zeb Wells or if that's just Marvel being like, we don't know how to make Amazing Spider-Man a series that isn't just being interfered with on a regular basis. Eric Wu got around to buying Sandman and Thor Devourer King because of you two. Cheers for many years of comic popping my life to YouTube.
That's excellent. Good taste. Love that. Thank you so much. Fam.
Oh, fam. Okay. I agree, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy Sandman.
No doubt. No doubt. Dan V900, Superman Space Age was so good. I know a lot of people are comparing it to DC The New Frontier, which I understand, but it works well. Mark Russell held back on the amount of jokes he usually does. That's nice to know. Yeah.
I almost picked that up.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened. I think
don't
what
even.
happened was I hadn't, since I've got to like reload the gift card thing. I was like, I'll
Yeah.
go back and do it, and then I just didn't, so I didn't get it. So
Yeah.
it's good for me.
Oh, that's right. I think we have that. I think someone. I think. Yeah, I know what that book is. I don't have it. But I know what you're talking about.
Wash, you knocked over the drowned.
Authentic Apathy. I'm glad you guys remembered Paper Girls because Amazon did fuck all to promote it.
Yeah,
That's
unless you
funny
had
say
an
that.
Amazon Fire Stick, then it was all over the place. But if you didn't, yeah, and like what we'll talk about it later. But I'm definitely hearing one thing over and over again when it comes to reviews. So I'm going to talk about something else when it comes to reviews when we talk
Excellent.
about it. And I only read. I just as a heads up, I've only watched the first episode, so like we're not going to be getting into spoiler territory. I'm just going to talk about my like initial reaction to that first episode.
That's fair. I will say that when I got off the plane in San Diego, there was a like motion billboard, and on it was Paper Girls on Comixology.
Oh.
So it was like an ad for the comic. I was like, that's kind of awesome. Too bad it's on Comixology where it's unfucking readable.
It's not. No, if on your app it is totally readable. It's just impossible to get a hold of things.
There we go. David Pledger, would you ever cover the Authority on back issues? I think maybe one day, although it's got to get in line, and there's a big long line.
Get in line.
Dan V900, Supergirl Woman Tomorrow, just being a trade paperback. That blurriness when Harley Quinn Eat Bang Kill Tour gets a hardcover annoys me so much. What? Yeah.
I don't know who's like running that arm of the publishing, who's making those decisions and what their metrics are for that. But it's like they must be looking at something. It can't just be a feel.
No, the person who used to be in charge is fired. Like the person who knew the numbers, who could crunch the numbers properly, doesn't work at DC anymore. And so the person in charge of that is no one, and they have no fucking idea. The Telphonics say, I bought Woman Tomorrow, one per your recommendations. Almost done. It sounds like I should finish before the next back issues. I think so.
Yeah. Yes. And like that. So thank you for saying that. That's so sweet.
Yeah, right.
I love hearing that like we're helping to get good stories into your hands.
Exactly. Curative writer, most recent Justice League Dark trade has has the same problems. Thought it was just because it was backups from Justice League. Apparently I guess DC has lower quality for books that won't sell. Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
There you go. Okay. So it's just
less effort.
Yeah, just lesser like books that they think will be lesser don't get the same treatment. Now again, I'm sure there's like like, listen, printing's expensive. We talked about that before. Printing is always expensive, and they are a business, so I know they have to think about that. But the fact is, it's like, I feel like you should treat your books more consistently across the board, because like you gotta listen. There's like shelf porn pictures out there for a reason. People care about these things. There are discerning collectors, and there are people who just want to get books. And like again, a $20 trade is very accessible. Super accessible to just get this and read it, and that's awesome. And like it doesn't look horrible on the outside. It doesn't. It's just really unfortunate that like you can feel the difference between, because I have all the floppies, so I definitely can see the difference. I've read it also in digital. You can see the difference there as well from this. And it's just sad to know that like they're going to make decisions about some like possibly your favorite character and go like, you know what, that character's not worth it, and that sucks.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up. I mean, like, you're a book publishing company. Why are you like picking and choosing when it comes to what you publish?
And yet we know that Dark Crisis will probably get a hardcover, so Pariah will be in a hardcover.
No doubt. Dan V900, with the Supergirl trade discussion, do either of you ever buy from in-stock trades? Supergirl's half off, and the new releases are 40% off every week. I have bought from them. I don't like waiting 6 to 8 months for my books, so I don't normally buy from them. But if InStockTrades.com is interested in sponsoring the show, I'd be more inclined to try them out again. But I've probably bought like $100, if not more, worth of books from InStock Trades. And listen, like their packaging, as far as the last time I did it is concerned, fantastic. The prices are real. It's not like a scam. It's just that it takes a long time for it to come out. Pedro Vengas says, Pedro Vengas, my Supergirl trade was beat up on the bottom of the book, so I'm mad. I'm hopefully getting a replacement soon. Yeah.
Did you get it from Amazon?
You got it from Amazon. Not only did they definitely bang up your book, but also just send that shit back.
You really can't see it here because of my lighting.
But
yeah,
just send it back. Just send it. Just be like, nope, nope. I'm not even gonna bother. You give me another one.
It's
Yeah.
and that's another thing though, because it's like, I, I don't know.
Or send it back, get your money back, and then go to in stock trades and order it from there.
Yeah,
Get it for half off.
yeah, we already had it there, so we couldn't get it at an LCS, and I really wish we had. I wish we had just gotten it there,
I
100%.
agree. Do you want to talk about Paper Girls or you want to talk about books?
I don't know. We could do some books. I feel like people are here for books, so we could do some books and then some Paper Girls and then some books.
Yeah, all right. That sounds good.
Or you want to just do Paper Girls now and be done with it?
I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
We can do Paper Girls. Let's do it.
All right, Paper Girls it is.
All right. Excuse me, sir. So Paper Girls came out, and I'm hearing a lot of. I read a lot of people in the chat saying like some people didn't even know it was a show.
Yeah.
Now I was very aware of this because I like the story. But also because I went to that that Brian K. Vaughan, oh look at you, panel at Baltimore where he talked about like how close they were. They had the pilot, but that was back in 2021 in October. Yep. So it's taken that long. They had the pilot done, and it had to go through a series of panels to make sure that they were actually going to release the show. Here it is. Ta-da, it's here. So I think it's a good show. I think it's a fun show. Oop.
Sorry.
I think it's a fun show. I think it's a good show. However, I will say, if you read the book, like the spirit is there, but it's not the same story at all. I got my huge omnibus of this, I guess you want to call it, a complete collection of this.
That's an omnibus.
This is a gorgeous book. And I got to tell you, we were at Zap Comics. I'm not gonna, I hate to like just throw a plug in there.
Hey, listen, they're a good comic strip, but
they are. Strip. This is a $50 trade. They are doing they have a huge sale. I think it's for Free Comic Book Day, 50% off. So I got this for $25.
It's pretty awesome.
$25, right? Freaking, I love this. I love the cover. I love the inside. Talk about like nice treatment of your books. Love this. Anyway, what I ended up doing was I started watching the first episode. I paused it. I ran and got my copy, and I just started kind of going through it page by page just to try to follow along to see what they were doing. And I got to tell you, there's some things that like are eerily spot on. Like I think they did a phenomenal job casting these girls. I like all of them as actresses. I think they're doing a really good job with their characters. They look like their characters. Like it's really well done. That said, they definitely started in a very, very different place than the comic starts. And the first episode, just the first episode, because the only episode I watched, really, really dialed down the weirdness. The first issue, it's got some weird stuff that happens.
It is. I vividly remember the first issue and how it was like it throws you in the deep end, but it certainly does like play up the fact that it's like what?
Yeah, it does. It's got like two different fronts for that. One, Erin has these like crazy vivid dreams, which are beautifully illustrated by Cliff Chiang, and we don't start with that at all. We start in the future, and then we do a let's go back in the episode, right?
No, you don't go to the future.
Yeah, we go to the future and we do a let's go back. And then honestly, like when we do see a bit of the future, it's dialed down significantly the first episode from the first issue. And I don't know if that's we're going to wait and we're going to bait you. Again, I only watched the first episode. Or it's they thought it was too much and they wanted to pull it back. Yeah. There's like really weird little moments that like are straight out of the comic book, but they've like switched something where it's like that actually happened to a different character.
Yeah.
Or like that doesn't happen at all. Like there's a lot of little things that are dropped here and there from the first issue or so to that first episode. But like I said, the heart is there 100%.
Yeah.
The girls, 3 of the girls in the comic kind of already know each other a little better than they do in the episode. In the episode, it's more like everybody is coming together for the first time. And we see a little bit of everyone's like home life in the episode before we get to meet them really, as opposed to in the comic where it's really just through the lens of Erin. Erin's our main protagonist before we meet the rest of the girls. Right. So it's just a little bit of different storytelling. And I think it's just because you can't typically take a comic and go one for one to a show, especially when it's like you have all of this. And I don't know if this is going to get a season 2. Who knows?
That's the thing, right? Like, and that's the problem. I think overall, it's a larger issue that I certainly feel strongly about, which is like when they make a show and they only make the first season, and then it's like contingent on success, and then it's like look at Sweet Tooth. Have they even filmed any of season 2? I have no idea.
I think they have. I think they actually have. There's like there's a couple of things that are missing. Like we like. there's like a very sci-fi element to the first issue that's like in a basement, and we don't see that. Something else happens instead, right? Like it's just they changed up some stuff. And again, I'm sure that was either for storytelling purposes to make the show stronger versus or they just didn't want to do it. I don't know.
Listen, a bunch of teenage kids in the 80s in the basement. I mean, like, you don't want the Stranger Things comparison.
So that's the thing, and that's the number one thing I've been hearing for people who aren't like main reviewers. Like a lot of review sites are going like, "Hey, stop it with that. The show deserves more."
Yeah.
But like people who are checking this out are going like, "This is just a ripoff of Stranger Things. This is just Stranger Things with girls." Actually, this comic started in October of 2015, and the first episode of Stranger Things came out in July of 2016. So
technically, they make Stranger Things the ripoffs. Except it's like that's like GoBots calling Transformers ripoffs. Like, oh yeah, how's that working out for you?
It's more like, listen, like obviously the comic was in development for before October of 2015 to have come out then, right? They must have had a couple of issues under their belt, and Brian had probably been working on the concept, right? But like, there's also just sometimes weirdly creatives like who are nowhere near one another or aren't in the same circle. There's like it's just this weird, like again,
it's the Deep Impact Armageddon situation.
Yeah, it's just they're not ripping anyone off. It's just, oh my gosh, these two ideas came out around the same time. But Paper Girls is not a ripoff of Stranger Things, so don't be confused about that. It's much more sci-fi than it is Stranger Things, which has like more of a supernatural feel.
There's
a little science fiction in there, science fantasy maybe. But like it's questionable what that is, what you want to call that. Fantasy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I liked the show. I liked the first episode, and I would actually like to watch more of it. So I'd like to watch the next like episode 2 and then like kind of compare and contrast as I go along. But I was just a little shocked because I know Brian was involved with it. He was involved with the making of this, and so he definitely probably just came along and he changed some things. They added some stuff too, or like they shifted some things around in terms of dialogue or plot points that they wanted to make sure were in the first episode. And that's just also part of like being a creative. You did this in 2015. We're now like, probably 6 years later when they were filming it. So you have some different ideas and maybe some things you wanted to change. I would say though, this is fine to make into a show, but made me go like, I'm really glad. And I hope that Brian stays committed to never making Saga. Because of how much would probably have to change to make that work. You know what I mean? So I say go watch it, give it a shot. The first episode I think is only like 35 minutes. It's not a big commitment for the first episode. Check it out, take a temperature on it, see how you feel about it. I think there's 8 episodes total.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong about that. I might just have 8 on the brain because of Supergirl.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth a watch, if you're having dinner or like you're just relaxing for a minute, throw it on. Just like
there are 8 episodes, yeah.
Yes, I remembered it. But give it a watch, like I said. And then if you like it, you're gonna get a lot more in here. There's a lot more story in the comic itself. So I'd recommend also grabbing that. So that's my little Paper Girls corner there.
There you go.
It's funny. I assume people were going to ask about it.
Oh yeah.
To find out that most people didn't know about it or were like, oh, what? Like
exactly. No.
It's just there's so much content out there. There's
so
much content out there, and I feel bad we didn't get a chance to even talk about it beforehand, and I wish we had. But it's out now. It just came out. It actually like dropped a couple of days early, like either by accident or on purpose.
Yeah, I heard it was an accident. I texted you. I was like, hey, watch. Like it's out apparently by accident.
Yeah. Definitely go check it out. I think it's worth it. And like I said, that first episode is not a huge time commitment. A lot of first episodes tend to run an hour, and some people are like, I don't know, an hour. It's like 35 minutes. Come on. Just give it a try.
Right.
And then read it too. Trust me.
Well, the thing is, like, it'll only take you 35 minutes to read a few issues of Paper Girl, so you should just read that.
And it's Cliff Chiang's art with Brian K. Vaughan's writing, and like I love listening Brian talk about Cliff because he's like, man, like, the problem is these artists, they all of a sudden they realize how smart and how great they are at creating things, and they run off and they leave you and they go and make their own books. And like Cliff did do that. He made Catwoman Lonely City. So it's just so funny because like he has such respect for Cliff, and like they're like, I love Brian and Fiona Staples working together, but Brian and Cliff Chung, they also make a beautiful, beautiful book. So read the book and watch the show. I think you'll have a nice time.
Dan V mentioned this is how you know Amazon doesn't care about Paper Girls. The whole season dropped at once and not 3 episodes and go week to week like Invincible, The Boys, Miss Maisel, etc. Haven't seen it yet. You should check it out. But yeah, I mean, I think that I think there's a reason for that, and I think the reason is because the last Brian K. Vaughan property to come out was Why the Last Man, and it tanked. And I think they're like, because I think Paper Girls has been in development for a while, and I think they're kind of like, after the failure of Why the Last Man, they were like, oh shit, just drop the whole damn thing and see what happens. Like we don't have time to like play the long game on a show that no one's gonna watch, theoretically. I hope it does. I hope it does well. But
I do too, and I've seen some like people who watch it do really really like it. So if you hear anybody out there like giving it a hard time about it, like being just a ripoff of Stranger Things, don't listen to them. Go watch it yourself. Trust me. Like, yes, is it set in the 80s? And yes, are there kids on bikes? Yeah,
they were all on bikes in the 80s.
There are kids on bikes today. Like you, like
yeah,
kids
they were
can't
actually,
drive.
Genuinely, I was driving home from something a couple of weeks ago, and there were like 11 kids on bikes just taking up one of the lanes, and I was like, get the hell out of here!
Listen, some of them do scooters, some of them do like the one wheels, but you're still gonna see kids on bikes. So it's like you can't just look at that and like think to yourself, oh, it's like a darker,
how derivative.
Darker adult series about kids in the 80s on bikes. It's like, okay, what do you want? Kids on like skateboards? Like that's more derivative. I don't know.
Yeah. Ray Farr says this is for Kat. Give treats and pets. Don't worry, he's covered.
I can give the pets.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. John Jays, with Ennis about to drop a new Punisher, will you guys do Punisher Max on back issues one day? We have a couple of omnibuses actually, so I wouldn't be surprised. But it's it's tough because like Garth doesn't do great. The last time Garth's Punisher came on to back issues was only a few months ago, and it did very very badly.
Yeah, but how did Reptilian do?
It did fine.
Hey, I like that Comic Strip said Sally must have been terrified of those kids on the bikes.
It was a nightmare. No, it's fine. They were just like, but they had no regard. They were just and I'm talking like teenagers here. Like I'm talking a pack of wild teenagers on bicycles.
Oh my
God. They were just in the road like, I'm invincible. And I'm like, you ain't. Like you straight up not.
But you think you are. And
right,
there is an element of it where you kind of are though.
Right.
Because like this crazy stuff happens. You're like, oh my gosh, I could have died.
Gosh, I could have died. Yeah.
But I didn't.
And statistically, one of you may have. Dan V says, don't worry, Sweet Tooth finished in June. That's great. Good for them. And John Jay's, that the rights for Saga were already sold. Yeah, but like, who knows what happens with that?
Well, how about this? When did that come out? Because listen, Brian needs money, man. Like, we'll just start a fund. Like, don't let Saga be made because, like I said, like in October in Baltimore, he was committed to not doing that.
Yeah. Literally last October, he was like, no. Matthew Terlaga, book recommendation, Brave and the Bold Batman and Wonder Woman. It involves Batman and Wonder Woman solving a murder mystery in the world of Celtic mythology. Okie dokie. Thank you for your support. And thank you for the suggestion. Hopefully our intrepid mod is dealing with these chatbots. Storm King had a chance to check out FF1234 from GBU. Any chance to see those on back issues? Would love to hear Ethan and Ben's opinions. Be well and stay safe. I think it's in trade. I may pick it up. I remember reading the rest of it eventually, and I'm like, this is actually pretty dope. It's Grant Morrison's Fantastic Four, and I would check that out.
Okay.
Chase Wellings, hey guys, currently reading Claremont's run on X-Men and was wondering what's a good stopping place because before it's just a 90s art orgy. Thanks.
We'll let you feel bad because that's
it's funny because like the first issue of X-Men is Claremontian, but also like he's off by issue 3, and then it's like a mess. I don't know, man. Like, but I'm not a big X-Men guy. Like I've read it, but like Fatal Attractions, maybe that. Before Onslaught, certainly. But then again, Onslaught also sets you up for Heroes Reborn and the new era for like a post-bankruptcy Marvel. I don't know, man. I mean, I think I would read other titles like Excalibur and stuff. Try some of that. Because there's no shortage of X-Men titles out there especially during that time.
Yeah.
And sorry, Harishi Venkatesh talked about Claremont Gambit yet? No, but we should because I know Tiffany read it.
I
So
did.
yeah, what do you say, Tiffy?
Yeah. Do you want me to just talk about it now?
I think so because like there's no good time to talk about Gambit.
What's wrong with Gambit? You give me one thing that's wrong with Gambit.
His Mackey series.
That's not his fault.
No, that's Howard Mackey's fault.
That's not Gambit's fault.
Yeah,
it's not Gambit.
I kind of wish that Howard Mackey had gotten this because like, you know, he wrote the Gambit book.
You'd rather not have, you don't want Chris Claremont back on like an X book?
You know, I think I honestly feel like Claremont's time has come and gone. And every time that they hire Chris Claremont to do an X-Men book, he just does whatever he wants. And it's like it ain't worth it. You know, well, like every time he comes back, it's not like, yes, he's fixed it. Like, no, he's just going to do his own continuity.
Well,
and
no, but this is like supposedly this is taking place in the past, and like they reference like what they're talking about, and so it's like kind of like supposed to be like sort of like one of those filler books. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
With Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the third Summers brother.
Well, yeah,
according to him. Like, so I don't think he's ever gonna stop thinking like that. But whatever.
I think this is maybe only 4 issues or something like that. Maybe.
I'm sure.
How about
There's
this?
no way Marvel's gonna give
maybe
him
it's
more
5. Maybe it's 5 issues. And the only reason I say that is because Comixology only showed me like a total of 5 issues.
There you go. Okay.
They're like to pre-order. Because like, please just buy this now. It's written by Chris Claremont and with art by Sid Kotian.
Mm-hmm.
Kotian? I don't know.
Kochin?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it has an older feel to it. It's weird. It's like simultaneously modern because of the coloration or the coloring like technique.
Yeah.
But feels old, like almost like a recolored book. It's okay. Like it really kind of messes with your mind for a little bit, and then you kind of go, okay.
Well, the cover has like what looks like 90s-esque enhanced pencils.
Yeah, the cover is busy in that 90s way.
That's right. Yeah,
like, there's
which
something
I kind
about
of
certain
like
90s
that.
covers that are just busy.
Yes. And it's only got 2 characters on the cover. Like there's not much going on. But it's still looks busy.
But like it busy. There's lines and there's action and there's effects and there's, you know, windows. Like there's just a lot going on here.
Yeah,
for sure.
Fair.
And of course, this is in the wake of Gambit's dead currently in the Knights of X book. So he's out. So it's like, hey, look, it's Gambit.
Hey, Gambit.
Sandwich me. And I flop you in the mouth. I literally, it's like they have ruined Pete Holmes and what's his name have just totally ruined the way I hear the word or the the name Gambit said.
That's right.
Like just I still hear X-Men animated series voice, but I hear, hey, Gambit.
Hey,
I'm like,
Gambit.
Damn it. Why? This is like a time period in which Storm is a child.
Yeah, why is Gambit a full-grown adult?
Because she got turned into a child by Nanny and Orphan Maker.
Okay.
And so she's a kid. And so, you know, we're dealing with some Shadow King stuff. And like, it's basically like I think it's going to be like a series of like adventures that all have like a common through line, but like Chris Claremont gets to write about characters he wants to write about. You know what I mean? It overall had a pretty like from the past vibe to it. Of course, it is set in the past. So like, you know, there's like a guy walking on the street and he's got like a big, huge, ridiculous cell phone that he's like talking on. He's a big business guy, right? Gambit's trying to teach Aurora to be like a thief, a better thief. She can't really rely on her powers right now. They don't really work accurately or like all the time. So like he's trying to train her in the way of thieving. And there's like some really cute moments, and I don't know how they play for everyone else, but it's like, oh, that's cute. Like they steal from a guy, and then like part of the initiation is for her to give it back to him. So like she has to like pick his pocket and then like unpick his pocket, right?
Okay.
And so she's like, why did we
to do one but not the
she's like, why did I do that? And he's like, because it was part of the test. I just want to see your skills, right? And she's like,
but you're not here to like make money. You're here to like show off.
We will, and like so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna break into that guy's house, right? And so like, you know, I like we have some information that like there's like motion detectors here and there, whatever. Like you have to find a way in. So she thinks she's gonna go through the chimney, and of course she can't do that. She looks into the chimney. It's
Santa
dark.
Claus.
She's got a flash. What?
She's not Santa Claus.
Well, I mean that's one. That's like Santa is an omega level mutant, so like if
That's true.
they could just call on him.
Yeah.
To me, my Santa.
To me and my reindeer.
Oh my gosh, yes. To me, my elves. But no, because of her claustrophobia.
Right.
So it's too dark, it's too tight, she can't do it. So she like finds another way in. She finds a window with like a motion detector on it. She like hopes her powers work enough, makes a little spark, and just goes, ugh, and like cracks it open, right?
Okay.
To find Gambit inside, already taking money out of a safe. And she's like, why did I do this? And she's like, how did you get in here? And he's like, oh, yesterday when you were like putting that guy's stuff back and taking things from him, I took his keys and I made a copy of them. And so I let myself in.
Yeah.
She's like, so she makes a little rain cloud that just rains over Gambit.
Yeah.
Because she's like mad at him. And I love that. I love like Child Storm making a like physical rain cloud to show her displeasure with someone. Like that's really funny to me.
Yeah.
But again,
visual
it's all
medium. Let's play with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about her being tested by Gambit, right? The book kind of makes a leap where we're like, all of a sudden we're gonna talk about the Shadow King. And I'm like, so we like talk about Gambit's part of it. Like Gambit wants to train her.
Right.
She wants to get vengeance on the Shadow King for what he's done to her.
Of course.
And so like, he's hopped into an FBI agent who he's also trying to get into the head of Moira McTaggart, which I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Clearly, I feel like this is also Claremont going like, I don't care for what you're doing right now on Krakoa. So I'm just going to use these characters because what I do here doesn't really affect what
Big
you're
time.
doing there, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what I want.
Mhm.
Like Aurora like is hellbent on this, and like Gambit like tries to kind of talk her out of it in the way Gambit would, where he like questions and does all this stuff, but she's like, she's committed. He's like, okay. Inevitably, they run into a character that Gambit knows named Sabine, and she's training a bunch of little tiny girls,
like urchins.
Yeah, to be like warriors. Aurora gets put into the middle of it. There's a challenge made. It automatically made me think of her with the Morlocks. She doesn't stand down from it. She goes for the challenge. Gambit and Sabine have a conversation about the Shadow King, and she's like, that's why I'm here.
Right.
To get these kids out of here, because like we sent them here to train, but like if we had known he was here, we would have not done that, right? Like that's a bad idea. Aurora ends up actually beating this girl, even though like initially it seems like the girl's gonna have the upper hand. And Sabine's like, well, you've made some enemies here today. And like Gambit's like, well, that's gonna happen from time to time. Anyway, have a good day.
Right.
Aurora's like pretty set in like her like, we're gonna get Shadow King. She ends up like throwing food at him from like off panel.
Yeah.
He figures out that she's there, and he's like, okay, I've got plenty of time. I will get you.
Yeah.
But like, we'll not right now. I don't have to worry about that at this moment, right? Gambit shows her how not ready she is at one point, because she's like, yeah, like I'm awesome and I'm amazing. And I totally like hit him and I beat that girl and it's dope. He uses his staff, that like,
oh, I didn't read in the file. He's got a staff. Yeah.
God damn it. Damn you, Pete Holmes, and your stupid humor from like a decade ago.
Yeah, too bad we didn't watch your show and it was actually airing. Oops.
Your timely references are lost on everyone here. When you're done watching this video, do yourself a favor and search that. It's
yeah, check out Tom Middleditch and friggin' Pete Holmes making fun of Gambit.
Tell you said middle bitch. He's a middle bitch. He's a mid bitch.
He is middle ditch, but yeah.
But he uses his staff and he like takes her feet out from underneath her. She lands on her back, and then Gambit puts his foot on her chest and his staff like on her forehead. And he's like really pushing down, and she gets really upset. She's like, "It's hurting me."
Right.
And he's like, "I just wanted to make a point." Like of like how not ready you are for this. And she's like, "Don't do that to me again." And he's like, "Just stop me from next time."
Right.
And I'm like, right, Gambit should not be in charge of children at this stage in his life.
Right, exactly.
I mean, he's given her a real like good lessons here, but like I feel like he's not quite there. He's not quite. Gambit has a lot of cats that he cares for.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. We go to space because we're it's Claremont. It's an X-Men book. We're going into space, right? Where Bounty is turning in a bounty, and she's got her eyes on her next target, of course, Lila Cheney, and she figures that like Lila can be caught by like getting someone that's close to her, so she's gonna go after Gambit, and so that's where we're at. It's fun. It's silly. If you read X-Men during this period, you're probably going to dig this, right? Like, you're probably going to like it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Like, it's just Gambit being Gambit. Yeah. And sometimes I just want that, honestly. Like, as like,
because you do like Family Man, or not Family Man, but certainly like cat owning husband Gambit.
I do like Gambit, but like, I also like X-Men animated series Gambit. Like, I like a lot of variety of Gambit.
Sure.
I didn't like movie Gambit.
It's hard to like.
That's a Gambit I didn't like.
No, that's fair.
And you messed that up. I don't know.
They were going to do it twice. We almost got Channing Tatum Gambit movie, and that would have been a mistake.
It's not good. Good stuff. If you want to blast in the past, I say go grab it. If like Krakoa is not your bag, but you still missed bombing in on the X-Men, and you happen to like Gambit centric stories that are written with a like Cajun accent. That's what you're going to find here.
Yay. All right, cool. Well, good. I'm glad that Gambit was fun.
Right. And it's also like, it's an unhitched Gambit. Now, Gambit still gets to like occasionally like make passes at people now that he's married. But it, and like if you were reading X-Men or like watch the show with like Gambit and Rogue, like, that like Gambit has a thing for Rogue. So like anyone he hits on or dates, like it doesn't really matter, or at least in your opinion, at least in my head canon. He's like, I'm always devoted to Rogue, even if we can't be together. But this is like a very freewheeling Gambit. He does what he pleases.
Exactly. I don't remember if we actually covered this one, but Terlaga says Sweet Tooth Season 2 is officially in post-production, currently slotted to be 2023. Okay.
That's what I thought. I thought they were like, it was coming out. I wonder how old this kid got, or how big this
exactly.
kid got.
Faster than ever.
Yeah.
Ray Farr, how do you feel about omnibuses? I want to build up my collection, but these damn things get expensive. Are there any good sale seasons for comics? I don't really care for them, honestly. I think they're kind of like too much. Like, I think that they like, especially because like they're quicker to like disconnect from the spine, and you gotta upkeep and stuff. I think it's easy. I think it's better to just have trades.
But like some people like that look, because like, let's be honest, like this isn't necessarily an omnibus, but it is like quite a large collection here, right? This looks good.
There's like, a lot of YouTubers out there with like a whole host of omnibuses behind them.
It's shelf porn, right? But I mean, like, look at that. Like that looks good, and that would look good on a shelf, right? I am a little worried, of course, about the binding breaking on this, as it's read, but I got it on sale. So I'm less concerned about that. And so what I would recommend is if you have a local comic book store, find out if they have sales, or if you have other stores in your area that maybe you don't frequent very often, find out if they have sales and make a trip out to them just during that time period, and maybe you can grab some there. I would also recommend maybe checking them out on Amazon occasionally too, because like sometimes you'll just drop in on something and it's like 40% off, and it's like, I don't know why, but there it is.
It's true.
Yeah, you could also check around on some of the other websites that might take them a little longer to get them to you. I don't know what the shipping on that's going to be. At least with Amazon, you got a little wiggle room there with Prime.
yeah, that's true.
But they might also have some sales.
Young Goku over 9,000 finally got around to reading Strange Adventures. Never knew how about Mr. Terrific. Now I love him. Remember that time he slaps that old man for slapping him first? Classic. Yes, Strange Adventures is not only an amazing series, but also is a great character showcase for Mr. Terrific, who's had his own series multiple times, and he's a really fun character in his own right. If you like that scene, you may enjoy the movie In the Heat of the Night, starring Sidney Poitier, of course, who was the character / visual inspiration for Mr. Terrific in that book. And in The Heat of the Night, he does slap, I believe, a police officer, and for slapping him, and it's really dope, and it's a fun sequence, and it's also like it might be one of the first times you see like a black man slap a white man in a movie, so it's like it's got some cinematic history, got some
heft,
exactly, and the fact is like Tom King loved movies, so that's how that works,
and I like Strange Adventures, it's funny because that is just a title from DC's history, right? Like that's just a title, and it immediately makes you think of Adam Strange, and it is an Adam Strange story, but it's really Mr. Terrific story.
Yeah, it's Mr. Terrific is the protagonist.
Yeah, and he is freaking incredible. It's like, Batman who? Like that's how that story makes me feel.
Oh yeah, no, he's way smarter than
Yeah.
Batman. I guess I'll talk about Ant-Man because, like, why not?
Mhm.
From Al Ewing and Tom Riley. This was just like, I remember this book being talked about / solicited, and there are some pretty impressive, fun graphic covers,
Yeah.
not unlike this one right here, which like showcase the different eras / types of Ant-Men throughout history.
Mm.
And This is very much an Al Ewing book where it is like, if you liked his Immortal Hulk run, you know that he did his history and he cares about Marvel, or at the very least, he does his history about Marvel, and so he showcases it. This is a Hank Pym issue. It is told from the bookended from the perspective of an Ant-Man of the future, and he goes back in time, and then we get to see like an actual kind of like Tales to Astonish, like era Ant-Man. We watch like we're reading an Al Ewing approximating Stan Lee and doing this kind of like very like 60s in terms of not just like tone but also visual style. Tom Riley does a great approximation of that period and showcases like a little adventure that Ant-Man had gone on, and how many different Ant-Men had touched his life, even if they maybe never existed before that period, because we have hindsight now. So like Eric O'Grady is in this book, and the Scott Lang appears in this book, and Hank Pym touches all their lives during like one little infinitesimal adventure, in which he is like attacked by like 4 of his greatest nemesis, who are also like utterly forgettable because they're Ant-Man villains.
Mhm.
It feels like, not to put too like much of a joke on it, but like a smaller story, but couched against Al Ewing's fantastical nature of Marvel. So it's like, it's about time and also about like legacy, without it being about like people's children. I'm hopeful that there's an opportunity here, because every time they get a chance to undo the slaps, they never do. We could now with time travel and future Ant-Man, so maybe we should, please, like,
Yeah.
just unmonsterize Hank Pym, because listen, like, I am very much of the opinion that like Marvel's protagonists are fun because they're fallible. Like Peter Parker is oftentimes an idiot and
Mhm.
screws up, and he is not colored favorably in many of his adventures, particularly his earlier ones when they
Yeah.
weren't afraid and when Marvel wasn't like deliberately trying to fuck it up. And when I say that, I don't mean like they're trying to make Spider-Man unsellable. I think that Marvel's deliberately just like getting their hands into the. They're like, hey, like I own the restaurant. What are you doing, chef?
Right.
I'm just making the menu, man. You hired me because I'm really good at what I do, so I'm just making this thing. Cool. Let me just have a look at this and just mix it around. Okay, you're actually kind of screwing up my rhythm, and you don't know how to cook. That's what you hire me for. It's like, yeah, but I own the restaurant, though.
Right. Right.
That's Marvel when it comes to Spider-Man.
Well, you've got the irredeemable Ant-Man. Now you've got the unsellable Spider-Man.
That's right, and he certainly is like, they're certainly on their way. But yeah, your Irredeemable Ant-Man's in this book. It's like, but you get to see like all, and I feel like we're gonna see like a kind of, I don't know, like greatest hits kind of
What
anthology
what
of
impressed me
Ant-Man.
most about it, because I kind of skimmed through it honestly, because I was like, I really kind of want to check it out, and I forgot. I'll be honest with you, I
Yeah,
totally forgot. Which is not good for a book.
no.
But like the art style shifts.
Yes,
And how it is set in a very distinct time period, and like even has writing similar to that. Like it's cheeky
right.
and it's fun, and like when you get to the end and it shifts to like I guess what is going to be kind of the main art, I'm like,
Yes,
oh, it's really cool looking. The other
it
art's
is.
also great, but like it's really nice to see, and like I'm looking forward to if there's going to be more art shifts or not. Even if there isn't, this was really
I
nice.
think there is, because Riley has proven like he can do it, and
Mm,
so I hope there's more. It could be that he just is really like suited to approximating the 60s, but
yeah.
I don't know, it's just it's good stuff, and they're really doing something. Somebody in the comments said that Hank Pym's not a monster. He hit his wife, man. There's nothing that's the point, is that you can never come back from that. Like
Yeah.
there is a central plot point in
Well, unless they're
Preacher.
talking about when you're talking about Peter Parker not being a monster, I don't
No,
know.
Peter Parker's not a monster, except for the fact that he backhanded his wife across a room one time and they never retconned that out. But you can't walk that back. And Hank Pym's never been able to escape from it, despite like good runs.
And there were multiple opportunities where they could have said like, "Oh, it was this."
Oh, he's a Skrull. Oh, he's a robot. Oh, it's not. They could have done it at any point, and they just won't.
They're just like, no.
I also can like see, you can like fourth dimensionally look at this book, and it's like, oh man, this will be a trade by the time Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania comes out. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. So hopefully it's cool.
There was something else that came out this week that I had that exact same thought about, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh well, I'm sure it'll come up. But I recommend it if you are on the fence. If you were ever like, oh man, Ant-Man, I'd try that out. Read this, because you're reading a new book that looks great, written by a writer you love, and it features a character that will like also show the history and legacy of that character, or at the very least that mantle throughout time, and also introduces a new future Ant-Man, and that's kind of fun. What a neat idea.
Yeah.
It's a utterly harmless book that will at least get its run, if nothing else, and I think that's worth investment. So yeah, what else did you read, Tiffany?
Okay. That's a good question. I read quite a few things. I'm just barely going to touch on it just to say that it's still good. But Nightmare Country came out this week.
Yes.
Hang on, I want to make sure I get I never can remember okay, so it's Sandman Universe Nightmare Country by James Tynion IV with art by Lissandro Estherin.
Okay.
Really, I love this book. I think it's super, super fun. And honestly, listen, it's no like not spoiling anything to know it's about the Corinthian, right? So if you're talking about the Corinthian, you're gonna make reference to the Doll's House volume, and that's what we're getting at. Yeah, oh yeah, because Tynion knows the stuff inside and out. So that was like a welcomed revisitation to that. Like, listen, I love the 24 Hours comic from Preludes and Nocturnes. I think it's some of the darkest stuff that like has been written by, well, there's other darker things, but it's quite a dark storyline.
Yes.
For me though, like the Doll's House, like it sits with you.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that volume that like it gets in there and it just stays with you. And that's my kind of like darkness and horror, like something that like clings to your soul for the rest of your life. That's why I think I like Junji Ito, is I'm like, I just want it to stay with me.
I just want it to be like that all the time.
I just want it to be like dark at night, and then like that to come out and be like, hey, remember
Don't
that? I'm
this.
like, oh, cool, thanks. the whispering horrors that surround me at all times. But yeah, it's consistently good. I like the art. It's, again, it's not Gaiman writing for this, right? Like, and that's fine. It's a very different voice. Other people have, no, it's true. Other people have tackled the dreaming. You know what I mean? Like that's happened before. Plenty of other writers, not even just recent ones, but long past. They've gotten in there. They've played with characters. This one, though, in particular, for me, like has a quality that makes it feel like it fits in. Exactly. Like Tynion's doing a really good job of like bringing his own voice to the table, but making it feel like it fits in the overall like tone of that Gaiman set down. So
yeah. And I remember you gave DC a lot of your time and money when it came to when they invested in Sandman again, and you were, not that you were disappointed, but certainly it didn't stick with you. But this does.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I did, and like they like, be honest, that book did pay homage. It's just the issue is that like it was about a Sandman I didn't have as much of a connection to, and it's just
Who likes Daniel Hall?
I have always struggled to connect to Daniel, and that's probably just me.
I don't think you're meant to. I think that Daniel's introduced so that Neil can be like, and now I don't have to do this anymore. Like now there's a new Sandman.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I think that's just the story he wanted to tell. Like Gaiman's story first. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really think about those other things. It's funny, like how much like Preludes and Nocturnes, like when you read it the first time, cool. When you read it the second time with the like, meta reading of Gaiman thinking that this was never getting off the ground, it's like, okay, there's the story, right? And then it's like when the Dollhouse hits, it's like, oh, we're in it for the long haul, and that's really where it all like starts. So like for him, he's just in it, but like DC does what DC does with the dreaming. I stuck around with that for a while because Evely was doing art over there as well, which really did help out quite a bit, keeping me invested. The story was there. Again, I just don't care about Daniel. That's not the writer's fault. That's not their fault.
Exactly.
I just don't have a connection there. But I do really like this grim, gritty horror show that's going on with the Corinthian, but that's what you're going to get. You're dealing with the Corinthian, you're getting that. So
yeah. So what else we got, Tiffany? Because I only have
Oh,
like one more book. Because I
okay.
did Spider-Man last week. Because
Right.
or not this. Was it?
I have
Was,
I have I have 3
this
more
was last week.
books.
All right, great. I'm hyped
Um,
because I got one more, and I think you're gonna be very excited about it.
oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I read Strange this week.
Yes.
Uh,
How we
Str-
doing? How we ramping up?
I mean, like,
Oh,
so
Jed McKay. What Moon Knight?
it's not Moon Knight, it's Shadow Knight.
Oh.
So it's Strange #4, written by Jed McKay, with art by Marcelo Ferreira. I think that's how you say that.
Yes. Forever.
We were like last time this came out, which feels like it was a while ago.
But it
But
yeah,
it
I think it
doesn't at the
was.
same. Listen, July was a really weird month for me, where like
It
July
really
just went
was.
away. So like I can't tell if it's been a minute or if I'm just like in a weird
Or if I'm
like
freaking
time
out.
vortex.
Yeah, exactly.
But like we knew that like Clea's mom was coming to dinner, Umar was coming to dinner, which is like a fun concept to deal with. Like, let's be
Yes.
honest, like she's a warlord, she's of the Faltine, she's Dormammu's brother. Like, there's a lot of layers there, right? Like,
Mhm.
she's a villain. Clea had like, you know, married one of her antagonists. Like, there's a lot going on there, right? And
Yes.
so McKay's really going to delve into that. And so you are going to get an Umar coming to dinner kind of thing. She insults Wong. So Wong, like Clea does a hilarious, like, she can't help herself with her mom. She's like, okay, cool, thanks. Hey, I'm so sorry. Could you take the, you should just go. You should just leave. You don't want to be here for this. This is not,
Mhm.
no, don't go. They've like as close to a heart to heart as you can have with the two of them. Umar makes
Sure.
really big assumptions about Clea's plan. She's like, well, you planned all of this. That's why you got close to Strange, was that you could become, you know, the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. Like, you were playing the long game. And I didn't even know it. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Clea's like, wow,
What?
you don't know me at all. Cool.
Yeah.
You're like literally the world's shittiest mom. Like, awesome.
Like, I'm just projecting what I would do onto you because I
Yeah.
assume you're a miniature version of myself.
And trust me, I know there's plenty of characters out there that could be part of the world's shittiest mom club in comics. But like
Oh,
Umar,
totally.
she's up there.
She's up there.
But while this is all happening, they're attacked. The sanctum is attacked, and it all goes to shit. Right? It's the blasphemy cartel. They use a missile that's holding like a dark djinn, and so it like
Oh.
hits the wall and like basically breaks through the spells.
So is it a magic missile?
Yeah, they used magic missile.
Oh.
They attacked the darkness.
Yeah. Is one of them a sorcerer of light?
I hope so.
So I was wondering why they had to use magic missile.
Anyway, there's like a dope fight. That's when Shadow Knight is released. And much like before with Thunderstrike, it's just a body that's holding a whole bunch of like ghosts, essentially. So they're like super powerful though because of that, and like are magically inclined and can actually kind of break through like both women's like personal spells and such. So here's where like Jed McKay is doing Jed McKay things, which is fine. Like I listen, I like
his prerogative. He made Jed McKay himself. Why not?
Jed McKay like is a consistent writer who like is tackling books and telling some good stories, you know what I mean? But occasionally, like he does things like this where he's like, and then Clea, because Clea is amazing, she's like, all right, so like old magic's not gonna work on him, so I need new magic. I need to make my own spell. And normally that takes a really long time, but I'm me and I'm awesome, and she does. And I'm like, okay. Technically, she's Sorcerer Supreme of 2 worlds right now. You get a pass. That's what happened. Whatever.
Yeah.
So she does in fact do that, and that's when the Harvest Man shows back up, and she's like, "We need to talk." And I'm like, "Okay." And now hopefully we'll get the reveal of who the Harvestman is, right? And so either the Harvestman will reveal himself to be Doctor Strange,
right?
Which is too obvious. I think it's too obvious for it to be the Thing. Yeah. Because like the last page, like you know, like the like preview image that they show is like a skeletal yellow begloved hand shooting out of the ground, and I'm like, I have a feeling that like the blasphemy cartel will try to use Strange's body if they can get a hold of it. But I was like, I guess there is a body somewhere.
Oh yeah, there has to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it is Strange. Maybe they're taking a page out of the movie and he's like dream walking or whatever.
No, I think they're gonna fill him with ghosts and make her fight him. I don't know.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, we had that.
Don't you just hate when you get filled with ghosts and you have to like
I don't know, because aren't I not conscious when that happens? Isn't it just my body being puppeted?
Yeah, I guess so.
I wouldn't even know.
But if there are ghosts, that means that you're a ghost, so maybe your ghost knows about it, and you're like, that's just
I'd be
rude.
pissed if
That's
I'd be
just
pissed if my body was filled with ghosts and I wasn't one of them.
yeah. So it's listen, it is a fun book, and like Clea being the Sorcerer Supreme, like is more that like she doesn't want this. So either at the end of this, we're gonna pass it on to someone else, or she's gonna accept her role and we're gonna have her for a while longer.
I
But
was gonna
like,
say, like,
but
isn't it
she may not have a
interesting?
book. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it depends on the sales. I wonder. Isn't it interesting how we haven't seen her in like other books? Like we haven't seen a lot because they changed his costume one time and they're like, put that in everything.
She's in because Gillen's paying attention.
Oh, so yeah, that's right. She went
no,
to the
no, no.
Hellfire
She was in the
Gala.
Hellfire Gala. So like, it's not Gillen. It was it Duggan?
I guess. Yeah. Who wrote the Hellfire Gala 2?
I think it was Duggan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like they are paying attention.
Yeah.
They are paying. By the way, I went back and I looked again at Gillen's Judgment Day. I totally like was not paying attention to a panel there, and it just like made me realize how brilliant he is when they have like the like massacre on Araco. There's like a panel that's pulled back, and like the bodies are in like an X. Like,
oh my god!
I was like, of course Uranus would do that because Uranus. Yeah, of course, totally. I also read an interview with him that like he tweeted about that, like he did this interview where he was like, I'll try to answer questions, but I really can't, like, about certain things. Sure. And like he's talking about like the tie-ins and working with people, and like say what you will about events and say what you will about tie-ins, because the fact is, like, I agree with you guys, tie-ins are not good, right? But like Gillen really went out of his way to work with people in terms of like even like the X team. So like, because he's part of the X team, right? So like he's talking about working with I think Ewing's writing X-Men Red, and so he's really messing with them right now, right? And like, so he talked about what he wanted to do, and Ewing's like, well, I really want to do this, so can you make sure this one thing happens, and then I can take that and run with that. So I was like, oh my gosh, are we communicating? Like, that's really exciting. But in the interview, you were like, I wanted people to tie in and do stories with the concepts. Basically, I wanted to have their ideas work back into the larger structure. I want this to feel fractal, planned, and structured, even when it's improvised creativity between peers.
Okay.
And I was like, right now, like this event, someone's steering the ship.
Right.
And it's Kieran Gillen. And like, it's really nice to feel, regardless of if you're going to get involved with this or like you're not going to read all the tie-ins, just know like he tried his damnedest. Right. Whatever comes of it. I'm so excited. So yeah.
Well, that's nice. All right, cool.
Something else I read?
Yeah. Wait, let me jump into some super chats while you prep that. Because Max M says, I just got the Hit Monkey trade for $3. Shout out to Comic Revolution in Chicago, Evanston. I think Ben and Ethan would really enjoy that story on back issues. Maybe they would. And that would be it. And you, I guess. We have Deadpool versus Hit Monkey. That might be a thing. But otherwise, I don't know, man. I don't think that's going to happen. What? Says Whistling the Comic Book Blues this afternoon. Bought Heavy Liquid by Paul Pope used on Amazon, and it came all taped up like a library copy. Rats.
Oh, that sucks.
That will happen every once in a while. At least you can read it. But yeah, that's a shame. Anyway, what do you got, Tiffany?
I read DC Mech.
I remember you making fun of it, or at the very least, like,
I didn't make fun of
pointing it out.
I pointed it out because it was funny, because like Marvel had also done something sort of ish like that.
Avengers Tech On, which is by Jim Zub. Yeah.
This is written by Kenny Porter with art by Baldemar Rivas.
Here it is.
This was more fun than this had any right to be. Can I just tell you that?
Yeah, please.
Like, legitimately, I found myself enjoying this book, even though I went into it being like, whatever, who cares, right? Obviously, we're doing like an alternate history style book. We don't use the word Elseworlds anymore, right?
Yeah, because why would we want to put a brand on it?
Don't want to do that. Not that. It's just a limited series, right?
Yeah.
But like, it starts in like 1945 with the JSA, right?
Okay.
And like the war is over and it's awesome and it's dope. And that's when a parademon shows up, but it's huge. right? Like
Okay.
they're literally celebrating the end of World War II and a parademon crashes into a building,
Right.
right?
It's like a kaiju. Yeah.
Right. So they all have to like fight it. And immediately like Dr. Fate, the Sandman, and Johnny Thunder, they jump in there and they're killed
Oh no.
immediately.
Okay.
Immediately they're dead, right? Everyone leaps into action. We're dealing with Shaira is part of the JSA, so that's important because she's our
Okay.
narrator.
Ah.
So inevitably the team manages to take it down, but it takes literally everything they have, and that's when they piece together that this is a scout
Oh
and more are
no.
coming. And it's like it took everything we had, and like there's only like Green Lantern, Starman, Wildcat, Flash, and Shaira make it out. So like
Mhm.
they lost most of the team in
Right.
this battle. So it's like, now what? So what do? They give up being superheroes and they become scientists in order to figure out how to keep the Earth safe,
Oh
right? And
god.
I'm
So
like,
it's yeah. Uh-huh.
okay, that's fun.
So it's like
Mean,
Pacific Rim. Yeah.
yeah. Meanwhile, on Krypton, like many decades later,
Right.
Apocalypse has arrived, and that's what destroys Krypton in this universe.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, like it's an alternate reality, so I couldn't care less. It's
Right.
fine.
So essentially, in this, Jor-El tried to warn them that Apocalypse was coming.
Right. Well, like the planet or just
The
Darkseid?
planet.
Oh my god. Okay.
Darkseid piloted the planet there and like has all these ships, and it's Apocalypse itself that destroys it, right? And so
Yeah.
he tries to warn them. He's like, they are coming. And like
Yeah.
no one on Krypton believes him. So he builds a rocket, a ship of sorts,
Yep.
and he's going to send his son into space to go to Earth. And essentially their plan is to send the baby, because they're like, it's like the next spot that they think that they're going to hit is probably Earth, right?
Hmm.
So they want to send the kid there so they can warn them and
Yeah.
hopefully put a stop to this. But they need him, since it's going to be a couple of years. I guess they kind of like accelerate his aging, and they
Okay.
also like the ship teaches him, and so he
Right.
like will
That's a
arrive at
thing.
Earth, right? Like he arrives at Earth as a young man
Okay.
ready to go,
Gotcha.
right? The ship is a mech,
Oh god. Okay. Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
like they have mechs, and like in this universe, Lara is one of the best pilots they have. And so in like while they're like trying to shoot the rocket off, like the last survivors of New Genesis, Orion and Big Barda are there.
Hmm.
Even though really Barda's not from there, but whatever, she's part of that team
Right.
now.
Hmm.
But like they're gonna hold up the parademons as long as they can. Lara and Jor-El get into their mechs and they're like fighting off like parademons as the like Superman-esque looking mech shoots off to Earth, right?
Okay.
In which Kelex proceeds to teach Kal-El what he needs to know when he gets there. We
Okay.
flash forward to like the today of like Metropolis, where a bunch of villains are robbing Star Labs in their mechs, because mechs are a thing. So like Captain Cold is there and like Captain Boomerang is there, right? And they're all in their like themed mechs.
Okay.
Flash shows up to deal with them. It's not going well. So Batman, of course, shows up in his mech.
Hmm.
And it's so stupid. It's so silly. Darkseid is in fact planning on like attacking Earth. Along the way, they've taken down I think Ron. I think that they
Okay.
did attack them. So like they've just progressing as they go, but like the population of Earth will like finish off his anti-life equation. So it's like the last thing he needs. But
Okay.
like
Sure.
when they sent scouts there to try to set up additional scouts to try to set up like the boom tube that's large enough to get the entire Apocalypse army and
Yes.
Apocalypse through, they were destroyed by the
Uh-huh.
mechs, right?
Yeah.
That they have built, right?
Yeah.
So what they do is they're like, okay, send 3 more scouts to kind of prep the way, and we'll get there when we get there, right?
Okay.
Or maybe to set up a new thing. I'm not 100%. So they show up. Batman immediately is like, it's happening. The thing we were all afraid, it's happening now. Send up everyone who can get here.
Yeah.
No one else shows up. It's just Barry and Batman, and basically like not Barry, it's Wally.
Oh.
And essentially they're like, we're gonna die, but
Yeah.
we're gonna try to take them down as much as we can, because like these guys aren't quite mechs. They're like they're techno organic.
Okay.
So like Batman's got like an EMP, but that's not gonna work on them, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So of course, in their darkest
Super Mech
hour,
arrives.
Super Mech arrives, immediately takes them down. And they're kind of like, have you ever seen anything like that in our lives? No. That's when Cal steps out in like the all white style suit with like the black logo on it. It's like, hey, hello, hi, it's me. Batman's like, hey, screw you. And he's like, okay. I just got into range to get English. Did I offend you?
Right.
I'm sorry
Uh-huh.
if I did. But Batman's like, essentially, like, screw you, because like my godmother taught me like not to trust aliens. And I'm like,
Okay.
is Shaira Batman's godmother in this universe? Because Alfred and his godmother are helping to build mechs for Batman,
Yeah.
which I'm like,
Okay.
I kind of love it. It's so silly and it's so over the top, but I got to tell you, like, I found it to be quite enjoyable,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. It's a limited series. It's only going to be 6 issues, I believe.
I had a
Um,
feeling.
so if you like mechs, I thought this is a pretty well-written story, and like gives you like a little something different. It gives you an alternate history. And so like there's a little bit of like mystery, like, oh, who's going to show up? Who's this character going to be? Like, is like they mentioned that like General Lane, I think it's General Lane, is
Makes sense.
working with Steve Trevor. So I'm like, are there
Oh.
Amazonian mechs? Like,
Of course.
I like
Themyscirian mechs. Yeah.
I gotta say,
Invisible mechs. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not the biggest mech person typically, but this was fun.
Yeah. There's no way there isn't gonna have like a huge like Darkseid's gonna show up, he's gonna be huge, and then he's gonna get hit in the face, and you're gonna be like, where did that come from? And then it like shivers and it becomes like it's an
I
invisible mech from
Maybe
Themyscira.
Apocalypse will turn into a mech itself. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be a Darkseid mech. Yeah. No doubt.
Atlantean mechs, there you go. Yeah, that was
There
in
you
the
go.
chat. I
See,
love
you guys wrote this. It's easy
Yeah.
enough.
So it's silly. So if you are into that kind of thing, it is fun. It is
Yeah.
admittedly fun, and it's a limited series, so it's not a big commitment. It's just 6 issues. So check it
Yeah.
out.
All right. So,
Wait, do you want me to do my last one real quick? Because
I
I'm
thought
not
you
going to
did
talk
that.
about it because it's the end of the book.
Oh, that's right. Yay.
But I read this. It's you can't
One
see
Dark
it.
Night.
One Dark Night by Jock. This wraps it up. This is book 3. It's a Black Label book. It wraps up pretty quickly, and I
Okay.
feel like it took unfortunately, there was too big a gap for me between issue 2 and 3, but I definitely remembered everything that was going on. That image you see on the cover of Batman with this like crazy cowl is completely explained in this book. I
Cool.
freaking love it. I love that Jock got to draw this. Essentially, Batman gets the crap beaten out of him, and like it like really ruins his cowl, and so he takes it and he fashions it and he like ties it onto his face like a mask with like
Okay, cool.
it's kind of dope looking. It's like Batman goes through the freaking ringer in this, and then it wraps up like and it's over, and like it's a pretty satisfying ending. And I listen, on the back of this book it says, down here in the filth and dirt of Gotham is where I need to stay. There's more to that quote in the book, but like
Mhm.
if it made you think of Dark Knight Returns, I think that's because that's what it's supposed to make you think of.
Gotcha.
It is that tone. So if you like the tone of Dark Knight Returns, that grim, that gritty, that like narrative Batman, a Batman who like, well, it wasn't always Batman narrating because often Carrie Kelly would be narrating
Yeah.
in that book, but like a book that like relies a bit on the narration to like, let you know that Batman like loves his city, or like, thinks about like the villainy or whatever. This is a book for you. I really enjoyed it because I do like the tone of Dark Knight Returns quite a bit, but it's from the perspective of Jock. It's written, drawn, colored, all of it. It's a one-man team here.
Nice.
Which I think there was a bit of a delay there, I'm sure, because it's a lot to do, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's fun, and I think it's gonna read best now that it's over.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
if you go grab issues 1, 2, and 3, your local comic book store might have them. I think you'll have a really good time with it. I will say it's
Nice.
Black Label, though, don't forget, it's 17 plus.
Right.
There's also, like, a surprise villain who shows up in this issue. I
Oh,
was like,
cool.
"What? Oh, okay."
Nice.
It's ruined immediately on the back of the book, but
Okay, well, don't look at the back of the book. But don't forget, you will not see his penis. So, at least they'll be spared that, because we know that, it, it
that
would it would be horribly offensive if that were to be the thing.
that was mentioned somewhere
In this?
in something. I don't remember what I was reading, but it mentioned something about drawing a naked Batman.
It could be Jock being like, fuck that.
Where did I read that?
Oh, man.
I'm
Now
having,
I
like,
want to know.
I know. I'll try to figure that out. You go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Tubez the one says, is there any chance that we're going to get Static Season 1 on back issues? I don't think so. And I do think I think that Static Season 1 is good, but I like the other one better. and I already did that one. That's all I can say about that. I do like it, but like, I'm not wild about the new Milestone. The new Milestone documentary came out recently, and when I say recently, I mean like the other day. I watched a good like 25-30 minutes of it. I felt, and this is of course from the perspective of a cis white male, so take that as you will, but I felt it was a little bit of Dwayne McDuffie erasure.
Oh.
Well, he's in it, like they can't not talk about Dwayne McDuffie, but like felt a little like they were trying, like a little bit of revisionist history. And that's kind of funny because like the Milestone guys couldn't help themselves. Like they loved giving interviews. So like you could just watch any other documentary or interview with the Milestone guys to see a more honest picture of what it was like to create Milestone. And for that documentary, felt a little more like, oh yeah, that's looking a little shinier. I mean, and I may be wrong, but I turned it off after 30 minutes after they said something where I'm like, that's just not true. Where like Dwayne McDuffie wrote the Bible. And then they were like, actually, we all wrote the Bible and I'm like, no, you didn't. And you were on record saying that.
That sucks.
What the hell?
That sucks. No, that really does suck.
Yeah, damn it. But again, I don't want to like, I don't want to speak ill of anybody. I'm just saying, like, felt a little revisionist, and it felt like everybody who survived was like, all right, we got an opportunity here to like paint a new picture of what this is all about, and I'm like, okay, well, enjoy your documentary. Anyway, Batman though, Batman Detective Comics number 10.
You ended up reading it? Damn it.
1062. By the way, new logo for Detective Comics. I showed this to Tiffany. She was like, oh,
I freaking love that logo. I think it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a new logo. It's from the guy who makes all the logos for DC now.
No, it is. It absolutely is. And like he's done some good stuff and some stuff, but like this this is great. I love the entire treatment of the cover. It makes it feel like more literary.
Yep. I want to believe this is the new aesthetic for Detective Comics. It should be, and if it isn't, then you have time to fix it. Make this the new aesthetic for Detective Comics.
Yeah.
Sets it apart entirely, makes it feel indispensable. It's written by Ram V with art by Raphael Albuquerque.
Oh. Did you read the backup?
I did not.
Damn it. I haven't either.
You are going to lose it. So this is it. When does this take place? Who cares? Like it is. This feels like a Batman comic from like the mid to late 90s that you found with like a film over the cover in a long box somewhere for like for 50 cents. You're like, whoa, how'd they get away with this? And I don't mean like it's pushing the envelope or it's changing everything.
No, but like Batman Reptilian where it was like a relic.
Yeah, it feels like a relic, but like in the best way, like because Raphael Albuquerque is channeling, art styles like Klaus Janson and just these good down in the dirt grit Batman feels. But it also, of course, takes place in the now. So like Batman, he's only a millionaire and he lives in a brownstone. But like, if you don't care about that, you could just be like, no, he's just in a brownstone right now, whatever. But Batman is, he's doing his thing. He's taken down some smugglers. He bumps into Sal Maroni's like nephew, but turns out it's not his nephew. He's actually a horrible monster. And then that monster fights Batman, and he like grabs and hurts Batman. And then Talia shows up, and Batman deals with Talia. And I'm like, oh god, Talia, enough of the Talias. But Talia only shows up to be like, you're not prepared. This thing is older than dirt and older than Lazarus and da-da-da-da. You should watch out. Batman like checks himself out. He's like, maybe I've been infected. I don't feel right, And so he's like, he's investigating himself. Everything's seemingly normal. He calls Nightwing, basically just to be like, did you hear anything? Have you heard, like, do you know anything? But it feels like he's trying to connect with someone. Batman is much more like affable and friendly, but not like in a jokey, Bendis-y kind of way, which I still like. But it's just, you know, it's interesting because it's like they want you to feel that Batman's a little older and a little more like tired, but not like in The Detective, which in which it's like an alternate Dark Knight Returns future where he is old, like, but he's like I'm feeling there's something like I was supposed to do something in a certain amount of seconds. I was 3 seconds longer than that, and Dick is just like, well, maybe it's because you're too old for doing that, and he's like, don't maybe come down there. And it's just cute to see like that. But yeah, Batman like. It's just Batman kind of like testing his limits and realizing that like, you know, there's some things beyond his control. But like there's the Albuquerque pencils and inks, especially the inks. And I don't think that's him, but you know, I'm gonna give credit because like the inks are noticeable. They're very like strong. It's Dave Stewart on colors. Yeah, I think it's just him.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's Albuquerque. That makes sense because I think Albuquerque likes to do his own stuff. But yeah, it's just it feels like a Jansen book. It feels like an old Alan Grant, rest in peace, Batman book. But Ramvi gets it. Like he gets the tone. He's giving him his own kind of like feeling. He's giving him his own kind of like tone, voice.
Yeah, there
attitude.
is something about the fact that you like having not read it. You mentioned Batman. You mentioned like monster older than dirt, and you mentioned Talia, so that immediately makes me think of the Doom that came to Gotham.
Oh yeah, it doesn't look or feel anything like the Doom that came to Gotham, which is getting an animated movie, by the way.
I am so excited.
Yeah, but we introduce the book opens with like a kind of play that takes place in Gotham.
Okay,
it's like an opera. It's this big.
That makes sense for that cover because that cover it has like some straight up operatic vibes.
Oh, absolutely. No, the opera is there. Like there's this woman who dies. This masked figure is lamenting her, but there's this looming giant disfigured bat creature that's looming over him that's going to kill both of them. There's a seat reserved for Bruce Wayne who doesn't take it, and it's like, was he even invited? Or are they trying to send a message? But you know, and then we go to like, you know, we're dealing with like palaces with labyrinths and puzzles and characters named Arzen.
And sounds like something I would really like.
You would love it. It's not my cup of like we go off the reservation for me where I'm like, okay. Like we're dealing with like with scrolls and women in ornate costumes that are being like, we're going to rebuild our legacy, my child. Like we're going to blood and fortune and blah. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
That's got like some Legends of the Dark Knight feels then.
Yes.
Like,
no, and that's but like the thing is, you know, we see like this. We see that like there's a ritualistic murder that takes place of like one of their like agents who's also like a Gothamite, and Batman has like a vision, and when he's overwhelmed by this vision of like a bat creature that blasts out of him, and the creature calls itself Barbatos, and it's like, oh, but this is not Scott Snyder's Barbatos. This isn't even Grant Morrison's Barbatos. This is Peter Milligan's Barbatos. This is the original Barbatos. Like it's a gothic Lovecraftian thing that's mostly just like a bat that's like, you're mine. And it's like not that he wrote, there's no dragons or, you know, goddamn bullshit. It's just Batman.
There's nothing wrong with dragons in comics, Ethan.
No, I know. But but Batman, like it feels so much like a Batman comic, and just the art and the writing meld so perfectly together. The backup is called Jim Gordon in the Coda, written by Simon Spurrier with art by Danny. So it's a Jim Gordon story written by Simon Spurrier. It's not a Batman book. Well, it's a Gordon book.
I should have picked up a physical of this when I was at the comic book store, and I guess I'll have to the next time.
We will have to. The lettering and the juxtaposition of lettering and art is superb. It's the exact thing you want to see from a freaking Gordon book. Gordon does look a little worse for wear. He's a little older in this, but
sure,
whatever. It's Spurrier, so you know it's going to be dope.
Knows how to knock someone down and like write a noir-esque feeling thing. So
yeah. But it's nice to see Gordon on his own. But Rom seems to get it, man. And Rom's taking some big swings, but not in a way like he's taking big swings that are
Well, he's writing.
he's seemingly innovative, but it's just what they would have done 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that today is like, whoa. And
Well,
it's
yeah,
just
it's the fact that it's like we really haven't done too much supernatural in a while, but like Batman intrinsically has had a connection to the supernatural. Like
yes.
there are so many Batman stories where he has to deal with something supernatural, and it's great because being a man of science,
Yeah.
it
Batman, it feels like the Dead Man crossover and stuff like that. But it's
exactly what I
not
was thinking.
Yeah, it's not, but it doesn't. It's not trying to do anything other than what it is. It's not trying to build a universe
Sure.
or help DC make $1 billion this quarter. It's just boom, just Batman.
Yeah.
So which is funny because normally it ebbs and flows, Batman Detective, but this is Zdarsky's Batman and Rom V's Detective, and it's like, will we be buying 2 Bat books a month? Or bi-monthly? I don't know how often they come out, but wow, especially if you can keep. I mean, Albuquerque was born to draw Batman stories. Danny does a great job too, by the way, but it's just so different. And I'm actually kind of glad that she's not on this main book because it just tonally I don't think it would have fit. But but the backup though, the Gordon book. I mean, it's only 3 parts, by the way, so we're only getting 3 issues of Gordon. But good, keep it trim, make it.
But Spurrier doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough work, in my opinion. He's such a prolific writer, and I really wish that Hellblazer book had sold better because that was
we talked about
so good.
The fact that during the lockdowns we had Garth Ennis on a show like this on this channel, and we're talking, and I don't remember if it was on mic or off mic, but we're chatting about his career, and it's very tight-lipped kind of interview because it's very much it's done to promote the TKO book Sarah, which by the way is still excellent. You should read it. And he's doing a sequel as I understand it, but but we're talking about his career, and we talked about Hellblazer a little bit, and I mentioned that I was like, hey, did you have a chance to actually read the new Hellblazer book? He's like, no, I'm not reading it. And I go, Spurrier's writing it, and he went, oh. And he said, oh, Sai's doing it? And I said, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, I guess I'll have to check it out.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I like that there's some kind of camaraderie that he's a fan, or at the very least that he's a colleague. He perceives him as a colleague.
Yeah. No, I love it. I would love to get something signed by him if he was ever anywhere. That would be.
I'm surprised we have never seen him, but I think he's an Englishman and he's not around.
No, it's so fair. It's so true.
Yeah.
That would be one of those I wouldn't know what to say.
I know I've been trying to get him on the show, and I know that you're don't put him on the show.
Yeah, well, you can talk to him, but I can't talk to him.
I can't. I don't know his work like you do.
I can't. There's there's some people when you meet them, it's you just know how incredible they are. And
you met Gil and you talked to him on camera.
I know. Well, it was that
was one of those you better do it. Or
it was a live or die moment. We were there. You had made the appointment. I could not do it. We were in person. I couldn't just go, no, never mind. I was so scared. I was so scared to interview him. Tynan less so, which is funny now because now he's a Eisner winning
he's a
author.
2-time.
But I was way less afraid to talk to Tynan. I was terrified to talk to Galen, and the same thing would be Cy Spurrier. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No.
Yeah. Rishi Venkatesh says Superman Secret Identity back issues at some point someday, but I'm not in any rush to do that one. I like it, but I'm not I don't know. There's some episodes where I'm like, I know this is going to be a fun one. And there are some where I'm like, this will be a cool one, I guess, one day. Potassium to the Heart. Hello. Off topic. A while back, Tiffany recommended X-Men Phoenix as my first X-Men read. I haven't started it yet, but I'm intimidated. Help.
Did
Love Supergirl. Looking forward to Wednesday's video.
Did I do that?
I feel I think you did recommend Phoenix, at least as far as if you like X-Men, maybe you'll enjoy the Phoenix Saga because it's set in but yeah.
Don't be intimidated. Just jump in. Don't be afraid. Listen, and here's why. Because unlike when a lot of older books were written and things felt like they were impenetrable, you literally live in a digital age. So if you're reading and all of a sudden you're like, all right, I can't use context clues. I can't figure out what's going on here. Just look it up.
Yeah.
Just look really quickly. There's always a Marvel fandom or a wiki page about it. You can just read a little quick synopsis of it. You don't have to do a deep dive. But like, you know what? That's like one of those things where it's like you don't know where it's going to lead you. Like you might start reading this book and be like, okay, like I'm enjoying this, but I really want to know more about this, and that
Yeah.
might jump you to something else for sure.
Oh, it's
But
true. I saw a like Reddit post the other day that was talking about God, it was like a lot of people talk about their like favorite or like what books to read. You know, a lot of people make like recommendations about what comics they should read for their first book. And everybody always recommends the same thing where it's like Kingdom Come or Dark Knight Returns and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, that's true. Like those are great recommendations. And a lot of people are curated on those recommendations, right? Their entire like comic sensibilities are built on recommending like the greatest works of all time. But like the diehard fans, like the fans who know it all, who make those recommendations, their first issue was like Spectacular Spider-Man 172,
yeah, it was
which is
something
like
random.
part 2 of a 3-part Puma story. Like, and that's genuinely like I think that's still the best way to read comics. I think the best recommendation you can make for somebody is the deep end of a character that you know they're going to enjoy.
Mhm.
And it's like, because it will also trigger the truest sense of being a comic book fan, which is the hunt.
Mhm.
Because like if you are like you're a kid, let's say you're 11, right? Or you're talking to an 11-year-old in a controlled safe environment. And like you're like and they're like, what should I read? You go, who's your favorite character? And
Yeah.
they're going to answer you whether they're honest or not, because they don't know who their favorite character is. They're going to tell you what their favorite costume is.
Mhm.
And then you recommend an issue that is dope, has great art, solid writing, and is part 3 or 2 of like an 8-part or 4-part story. And you give them that one issue, because what they're going to do is they're going to read that issue, and then they're going to read it again and again and again. And they're going to imagine what's going to
Mhm.
happen in part 4, or they're going to
Yep.
wonder what happened in part 1. And they're going to then trigger their brain to use context clues to answer those questions, use critical thinking skills that are right now dormant, but need nurturing and water. And then what if you open their horizon? What if they find themselves, they're driving with their parents and they pass a comic book store, or they're, you know, their mom's getting their nails done and there's a comic shop right next door. Oh, mom, give me $4 and I'll be right back. And then they go in and they're looking for that one issue because they remember that issue. They've read it 17 times and they know what issue that is. They go through the long box. They're looking for it. Hey, do you have such and such? No, I don't. But you know what I do have is this. And then they read that and then they go down this rabbit hole. And eventually, who knows, maybe they never get part 1 of that story arc. Or they do it when they're 30 and they're like, oh my God, now I can finally figure out how this 40-year-old story finally ends. But
Right.
like they're already in it. That is comics. And it's like, that's the recommendation you should be making.
It's so true. I mean, to be fair though, with X-Men, it is a little harder to do that because they
Oh,
are
but
every
X-Men,
issue is pretty
every issue's like that. But I would do old X-Men, because
yeah.
old X-Men are unconcerned about sales, story arcs,
Yeah.
trades. They're just like, oh, this is just part 908 of an unending like torrent of stuff that I will never see the light of.
Additionally, I would say, and like there might be X-Men people out there who are going to crucify me for saying this, but like I think it's not a bad way to do it, but like check out a little bit of the animated series, because what it's going to do is it's going to put certain words, terms, and characters in your vernacular. Even if it's not 100% accurate, it's going to feel a little more familiar. So as you discover truth behind it and more story behind it, you already have a little bit of a comfort level. You know,
Totally.
it's like it's pretty accessible in that way. It's
Yes.
funny you're talking about like that, like hunt for things, because like I do that all the time. Like I have right now sitting on my desk like a random Invincible Iron Man issue that
Yes.
like is part 3 of like a 3-issue like little arc, and I'm like, I want the rest of this. I have
Yeah.
to find the rest of this. And it's like I could technically just go online and try to find it and buy it, but I'd rather look for it. I
Yeah.
want to hunt for this.
What's going to be hard to find, 'cause that's like a weird era. But
I know.
yeah,
But I really
know.
want this, and I really want to talk about it with you guys at one point.
I agree. Max M says, any hints on the upcoming back issues or Elseworlds Exchange? Also, just join the Discord. It's a great way to engage with the population. I agree with you, man. The Discord is a great conversation starter. I'm thinking about making some changes. We'll see. But in the meantime, back issues is going to be Tiffany-led Supergirl. Like that's happening. So that's going to be this week. As far as Elseworlds, Joel's returning to the Elseworlds Exchange for this Friday, in which we're going to try and like save the comic book industry. That's the topic, or at least that's like more or less.
It's just a small topic.
Yeah,
just
very
little...
light kind of conversation. Here's an invitation to the Discord if you are interested in joining.
Yeah.
We just did a purge to get rid of some bots and some conversational people.
We might have not done it the correct way. So
it's true.
If you got kicked out, don't be insulted. It's just we didn't quite understand the options there. So apologies, first of all, if you were someone who was lurking and didn't want to converse, that's on us.
Fair.
It's totally on us. Please rejoin.
Yeah, if you want.
Like
so yeah, let's recommend some comics that are coming out this week that we think that you should pick up.
Okay,
obviously Batman. Yeah, Batman 126, New Zdarsky Batman. I gotta read it. It's gonna be great. Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #3 is coming out. Now the title has been changed, but they didn't change the cover yet. So there you go. I want to say, because they announced that at San Diego Comic-Con, the Dark Crisis is now changed to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I remember them saying, like, I can't believe they changed it midstream. I want to say that Josh told me that was intentional and it was going to be like a surprise. That it was like deliberate that like halfway through they're going to go, actually, it's called this. But I don't remember if that's true or if I'm just like incepting myself. But I do know that Josh always intended for this to be like a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths. So it makes sense for this to be like called that. But yeah, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #3 is coming out. I'm excited. It's the Green Lantern Corps versus the Dark Army. That sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying Sam Pear's art. DC versus Vampires #8. This is a book I couldn't care less about anymore. I've really like fallen off on this. Maybe because it's intermittent schedule. Maybe it's because of the weird like release of side stories that are called that. Maybe it's because of like the like intermittent art that changes randomly that doesn't tonally work. Maybe it's because Comixology is the only place I buy it and I can't effing read it on that thing and it soured my experience. But who knows? Either way, it's a book that I think is still good, but I'm losing steam on it fast. Flashpoint Beyond #4. I haven't read #3, but I do enjoy this series, so check that out. And Batman Killing Time #6 is another book where I'm like, I don't have time, but I do like it, and I think it's good, so check that out. I'm hearing great rumblings about One Bad Day Riddler #1. I don't think that comes out for another while, but like I know people are fucking reading it, and I'm like, hello? I review these things for a living, and I know you, and yet no free book? I'll buy it again, but how come these randos get to read this book? I like these things. I would like to know what happened.
You don't know the right people.
Evident. I do know. I think the person who wrote the damn thing should be send me this thing. But in any case, it's fine. I'll wait like everybody else. I'm happy to do it. Whatever. No offense taken. Anyway, please, Tiffany, take it away. What else we got?
This is a heavy week for me.
Yes, it is.
Like the past 2 weeks were a little light, and then this week I was like, oof, feeling this one. Moon Knight #14 is coming out, so gonna have to read that because I do like this story quite a bit. And then there's gonna be a couple of X titles. I believe out of them, Legion of X #4 is not a tie-in or related to Judgment Day. So just as a heads up, you can grab that if you're not reading Judgment Day. But Immortal X-Men #5 is going to be a tie-in. Because, you know, that's pretty obvious. It's written by Kieran Gillen. So, yeah. X-Men Red #5, also going to be a tie-in, which makes total sense because of what just happened on Araco. I'm like,
great cover, by the way.
It's a fantastic cover. I love that cover. It looks so good. Ghost Rider #5 is coming out. So if you're like reading Ghost Rider, check that out. I really want to grab this, but I'm also afraid with all the other books I have to read, that one might fall to the wayside. Same with Poison Ivy #3. I really like this Poison Ivy series. But there's just, like I said, like it's just a heavy week. So we'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
For my Once and Future fans, #28 is going to be coming out. The Closet #3. It's a Tynan story. This is it. It's a 3-issue story. So you can check that out. You can grab the rest of it if you'd like. X-Men '92 is coming out. It's #3 in that series. It's like the animated series if they did Krakoa instead.
Right.
How would that work out? So that's kind of a fun one. I guess that one's also not tied in, but it's also not really necessarily part of the main story. So it's you get where I'm going with this one. And I think that
Well, what
might...
about a Legacy of X, or are you off that book?
Oh, it was Legion of X.
Oh, I'm sorry, Legion. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking Legacy for some reason.
Nope, no, I got that one. What is this Azrael book? The Sword of Azrael, the Dark Knight of the Soul?
Yeah, there's another Azrael book coming out. I don't know anything about it, but it is debuting. Let's see who's making it. Dan Waters and
Yep.
Nicola Sijmezia. I have no idea.
I kind of like the cover. That's what honestly caught my eye.
I think the say your prayers. You
Say
kidding
that?
me? That's what the tagline is.
Oh, I just saw the art for it. I didn't see the tagline. That's amazing.
By the way, hey DC, Joe Quesada don't work for Marvel no more. You want to get him to draw some more cool Azrael covers, please?
Is that what you want?
I would love to see that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh, also, sorry, Demon Wars, the Iron Samurai #1 is coming out.
Ah, finally.
That's a Peach Momoko book.
Oh, okay.
Back off. I love that world that she's crafted.
It's true. Yes, you do. I have no problem again. I have nothing against it.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm like, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
More, please.
Yes. But
Matt.
is that it?
Yes. For now. I'm
Okay.
sure there were more, but I was scrolling quickly.
Yeah, no doubt. But listen, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Next week, Monday, around 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., we're going to be doing this show again. So hopefully you'll join us. We like to do the show live and have you guys hang out with us. So thank you very much to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thank you for everybody who's in the chat for chatting it up and being respectful of each other. Thank you everybody for subscribing and liking this video. We're lucky to have you. And don't forget to check out twitch.tv/ComicPop to watch Tiffany play video games on usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but who knows what's going to happen this week. We're looking forward to seeing you guys here on this channel, and of course on youtube.com/ComicPop, because Wednesday we're dropping a full-on 1.5 hour long episode in which Tiffany is going to talk all about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I promise you at least one person is going to weep on screen for your viewing pleasure. So check that out as well.
Also, we didn't have this when we shot it, so haha.
That's right, but you know, it didn't really matter.
No, it did.
The only thing we didn't get was like a lot of Ethan looking through it. And,
I know.
commenting,
I couldn't let him do it.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was afraid he'd lose.
You'd lose your place. We used to, very early on the show, I used to use an iPad for the digital books, and it was just like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So yeah. But thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thank you, Tiffany, for joining me, and of course, we'll see you guys next time with an all new episode. So long, everybody.
Bye.